In an effort to continue to promote artists here on Geekdom 101, this awesome Piccolo thumbnail was designed by freelance digital artist Captain Seabass, otherwise known as Sebastian. I will leave a link to his Twitter and his DeviantArt. Check him out, he's pretty damn awesome. The Universe Survival arc is underway, and everybody knows the top 3 guys in this arc are probably going to end up being Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan, but in the past few weeks I've been doing videos with different guests about some of the underdogs in the tournament, like Tien and like Master Roshi. But what about Piccolo? What could Piccolo bring to the table in the Universe Survival arc for Team Universe 7? On this video, we're talking about it. Don't forget to punch that subscribe button and enable notifications so that you get every video that I upload right to your device, right when it goes up. And thank you for your continued support. So based on the Dragon Ball Super Universe Survival Arc intro, we know that, or at least it appears like, Piccolo will be training Gohan, or at least they'll be trained together for this thing. But what can Piccolo really bring to the table? At one point in the history of Dragon Ball, Piccolo was the most powerful villain and one of the most powerful characters. But obviously as the series has progressed, he's kind of fallen behind, and Goku, Vegeta, and even Gohan have surpassed him. But I still think that Piccolo can bring something to the table, and on this video we're going to discuss that. And joining me to discuss it, please welcome him back. I can't do a discussion about Piccolo without having this man on. Probably the Piccolo of the Dragon Ball fandom, because he always comes back and he always regenerates and fuses with different people. Okay, maybe he doesn't really do that, but please welcome Quaman to the channel again. Welcome back, Quaman.
Hey, Geekdom Danny. Happy to be here, bro.
I'm surprised you didn't say, alrighty, where's that at? Where's that intro at?
I don't know.
That changed.
I guess it just had to follow the flow.
I see your voice is going back to the Quaman voice, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Piccolo, bro. So Universe Survival Arc, right? Obviously a big chance for Toei and Toriyama to bring some of the characters that we know and love back into prominence. And with Piccolo, he got a little bit of love in the Universe 6 tournament and in Resurrection F. He fought some of Frieza's soldiers, and of course he had that fight with Frost. Piccolo, the fact that he could actually compete with Final Form Frost kind of tells me that he really did have an up in power, because when you really think about it, and again, Super's power scaling is weird, but you know, he had trouble with like Shizami in the movie, but against Frost, who's like probably beyond at least SS God tier in his final form because of how much, you know, how Goku didn't just wipe him out. It seems like Piccolo's actually a lot stronger. Well, what can he bring to the table? So my first question to you is, what do you think Piccolo, other than training with Gohan, what could he bring to Team Universe 10? You know, experience, knowledge, what do you think he's going to bring to the table?
Well, the interesting thing about experience with Piccolo is that you kind of have to count him as multiple characters, which is why I think he has a lot of experience. In terms of actual age, for those of you who obviously are familiar with the early parts of Dragon Ball, you would know that Piccolo is actually not that much older than Gohan in terms of chronological year-by-year age. But because he's fused with Kami, and because he's fused with Nail, and along with his own experiences, he has a lot of knowledge about the world. And I think that one thing that separates Piccolo from all of the other characters is that when it comes to fighting, he's like the Bulma. He seems to be like the brain of how to do things. And even though it was a gag, funny episode, if we go back a couple episodes to the whole baseball game against Universe 6, Piccolo was kind of like instructing, you know, Gohan.
Yeah, he was the coach.
Right, yeah, like he was instructing him on, you know, like, hey, this guy can't really fly, so you might want to play at this position. And for obviously a sports guy myself, like what Piccolo was saying actually makes a lot of sense if you were actually playing an actual baseball game. So I think it's those things in conjunction with his ability to improvise, which I can elaborate a little bit on later if you want me to. Those are what I think his key elements are, along with obviously being kind of a father figure to Gohan and Goten and Trunks to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. Spend some time with him. Now, the thing about Piccolo, when it comes to actual battle strategy and battle combat, one of the things about Piccolo that makes him different from a lot of other people is that throughout the entirety of the series we've seen Piccolo, his techniques are primarily focused on one-on-one combat. And we know that Universe Survival Arc is, or the Universe Survival Tournament of Might, whatever. We know that this tournament is going to be multiple people. It's going to be, team battles, with everybody in that, weird arena thing. And it's interesting because all of Piccolo's signature moves are pretty much meant to target a single entity. Everything from the Makanko Sapo special beam cannon to all his moves. The Demon Flash. They're all pretty much for singles competition, for lack of a better term. So I'm curious, because Piccolo's always been one of those characters that's very creative when it comes to discovery and creating new techniques. I'm curious what kind of techniques he's going to implement. And honestly, the one that I want to see return in the Universe Survival Arc that we haven't seen, would it not be amazing if Piccolo would one more time turn gigantic like they did in Marvel Civil War? And he's like, with Giant Man. And I think it would be awesome if he turned giant one more time and we saw that in one of the fights. I think that would be fantastic to see.
Yeah, and it's really funny you say that, Danny, because when you were talking about, like, a lot of Piccolo's moves are, usually based for, like, a PvP, if you want to go by, like, video games. I think it's kind of interesting because the moves that he's used that would be good against multiple opponents, they've only been tested on one-on-one. For example, when we see him using what the video games refers to as the Hellzone grenade against 17, that technique would actually be very useful against other people, but we just haven't seen it yet. And also when we saw against Frost, when he was, like, teleporting all around trying to do the multiple special beam cannons, I think if he uses his I guess you could say his history of improvising and also using like a multi-form technique in conjunction with Tien, that could be really awesome. But to talk about the whole, giant and Namekian form, it's interesting because Bean actually recently uploaded a video talking about Bean was actually recently uploading
Bean, no, that's Bean, not Bindle, my bad.
No,
Bean, yeah.
like Bean,
Dragon
like
Ball
Beanie
Nation.
Bob.
Bob,
yeah, Bean uploaded a video talking about like that Namekian great form is one of the lost techniques, and I actually thought hard about it. I feel like one of the reasons it was kind of not adopted again is for two things. A, because if you look at the point of time that Piccolo used that large form, Goku wasn't really adept at flying, so that was like a very early part in Dragon Ball, that where if you can fly, and if you play Dragon Ball Xenoverse, you would know that great Namekian form is complete trash because it's slow as fuck, and you can easily get away from it. That would be very interesting to use that form in a congested area if you could somehow compensate for the lack of speed.
Yeah, that's my point, is that him being bigger, he can grab other dudes and throw them around. I think that would be the best thing to see. Yeah. But I just noticed that he's very, like you said, he's very improvised when it comes to, he's very intuitive when it comes to coming up with techniques, but most of the techniques are for one-on-one combat, so I think he will have to adapt to multiple people. But you're right, I think he would be a good coach. I had said previously that Roshi, I felt, was a great coach because of experience, for this team. Same thing with, I think, Piccolo, too, because don't forget that Piccolo also absorbed Nail and Kami, and as a result of that, he has more knowledge of, I suppose, the universe, so maybe he knows weak spots, and we've seen him do it in some of the Dragon Ball Z movies where he can detect weak spots. I mean, every time you see a fight and Piccolo speaks, he always is right. Like, have you ever noticed that whenever somebody's fighting, Piccolo will say, no, he's not going to win because of this, this, and this. Like, somebody else say, oh my God, Goku looks great. And then Piccolo will say, actually, he's going to lose. Piccolo has this weird intuition, right? Where he can figure things out that other people cannot. And also his hearing. Here's another one we're going to throw at the people, right? If Piccolo has Namekian level hearing, right? Would that not be useful for overhearing one of the other universe's strategies in the huddle? Yeah. Like, think about that. If they're fighting Universe, 2, and Universe 2 is having a huddle and they're discussing strategy, Piccolo's Namekian enhanced hearing will be able to hear what they say, and it's almost like if he was playing against Tom Brady. If you know where he's going to throw the ball, bro, you know what I mean? He can tell. Exactly, bro, and it wouldn't have wound up like the Falcons wound up, a couple weeks ago. So the point is, bro, that I think that the Namekian hearing, if they do all these things we're talking about, I think it would be a great way to make Piccolo important again, dude. I really think so. I think you got to use the character to his strengths. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And if there's one other thing is that, like, if you look outside of combat, one thing I've always noticed is that Piccolo, although it might not always result in the best result, he always tries to optimize, the situation. So, for example, one example I could give is when Gotenks was, like, fighting Boo in the chamber, and in Piccolo's mind, he felt that, Gotenks was obviously peaking his power out, so he decided to destroy the time chamber, which was actually a brilliant decision. He's like, well, if we can't beat him, let's just trap his ass in here, and he eventually slips out anyways. But like that kind of thinking, I think in a combat battlefield, I think would be really, really, really interesting to see in the tournament. And I hope that they don't just throw him aside again, like they did in Universe 6 or like they did in GT.
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll be thrown aside like that again. I think, like I said, we talked about it here, bro. The hearing, the knowledge, and the giant form, I think, could work. Maybe I'll bust out some new forms. Anyways, let us know down below in the comments, of course, what you think about our discussion. As far as, do you agree about Namekian hearing being a factor? Do you think he'll grow giant again? Do you think we'll see like a variation on the special beam cannon or whatever? Do you think we'll see something different from Piccolo? And because I think it's not always about strength, especially in this situation. This situation now is many people, tournament style. I think we'll see something different. So check out Kwame, man. He is back. You should know who he is by now. If not, you check him out, all right? I'll leave a link to his channel down below. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And for all of you guys who want to talk about Piccolo, watch out for the stretchy arms of doom.
That's true. He could use that as well. Holy shit. Yeah, he's got a lot of tricks, so that'll be a good thing. Anyways, we'll talk to y'all down the road.